So it's a case knife that I've had for a while, but I have never done a video on yet. So I figured I'd pull it out and do a little video on this knife today. This is a case knife that I got, I don't know, sometime last year. I think it was early last year. So I think it was before mom got sick. It was definitely before she passed away. Anyway, I got this from collectorknives.net because it seems like whenever I get a case knife from him, it never has any seriously bad issues. They're always little things that I can fix pretty easily. But I never get a case knife without any issues, unfortunately. Um, these days, I'm just happy if Case can keep it to a small issue like some blade play that's easy to fix, unlike blade centering where the blades are scratching liners or scratching each other or something like that. But anyway, this knife's actually put together fairly decently. It did have some blade play, so I did my normal hit with hammer until blade play goes away thing, so the pins are sticking out of the bolsters. I did that. This is the cabernet bone, I think is what it's called. It's kind of like a reddish purple. Purple is my favorite color, so it's one of the reasons why I wanted this knife. The other reason was I kind of like the muskrat pattern, and I wanted to have a good example of it. Unfortunately, Case doesn't currently make a muskrat with the chrome vanadium blades, and I couldn't find one for a reasonable price. So I just went ahead and bought this one with the stainless blades. This one was made in 2019. So you can tell there by that Tang stamp. Um, Two clip blades, pretty much exactly the same blade. That's kind of what a muskrat is. It's got two clip blades that are pretty much exactly the same. The point behind that, I guess, is while you're skinning your small animals like muskrat, when the one blade goes dull, you have another blade that's exactly the same shape as the other blade to use to continue your job, pretty much. So that's why I think the muskrat came to be, and why I think it is called the muskrat. Um, but yeah, the action on this knife is actually pretty good. The snap's pretty good for a case knife, anyway. Um, yeah, pretty good action on this one. Probably one of the best case knives that I've gotten anytime recently when it comes to action. Um, yeah, I mean, overall, I'm pretty happy with this knife. I think it looks good. I'm not hugely in love with the shield on this, which is like, I guess it's brass. I don't know. I would have preferred that to just be nickel silver, honestly. It looks kind of out of place. But, but yeah, knife isn't horrible or anything. It's actually pretty well done. And I like it. I carry it occasionally, nowhere near as much as, my knives that are in carbon steel. And generally speaking, I don't carry case as much as I carry Great Eastern Cutlery these days anyway. So, it has gotten some pocket time, and you can see, just bump my tripod there, you can see from the bolsters here, um, they do have some scratches on them and everything from riding in my pockets uh, with all my other stuff. So I do carry it occasionally. Not quite as much as a lot of my Great Eastern Cutlery knives or some of my Bokers and stuff. But I still do like Case. I wish Case would spend a little bit more time uh, making sure the knives that they're putting out to sell are actually put together right. I mean, blade play is one thing. Like if the knife has some blade play, that's pretty easy to fix. Stuff like blade centering, where the blades are just rubbing up against the liner, or if it's got two back springs but the blades are rubbing against each other, that's a problem. If there's two back springs and for two blades, um, Any knife that has a back spring for each blade, I guess is how I want to say that, shouldn't have the blades rub against each other. I guess is basically what I'm trying to say. Like a Stockman or like a Congress knife or like some sort of whittler, um, if they're sharing back springs, like with the Stockman, you have two back springs, you have three blades. So generally, like your sheep's foot and your spay blade are going to share the same back spring. And if those blades rub against each other a little bit, that's kind of just to be expected as far as I'm concerned, because you know you're trying to fit all three blades together um, in a manner that they don't rub. But like when you're opening the blade's gonna move a little bit and probably rub against the other blade anyway. And especially with like case. In fact, I have Stockman in my pocket right now. Let me show you. Um, with case, like this is a Stockman. Obviously, it's got three blades, two back springs, and spay blade and sheep's foot blade rub against each other, and they do pretty hardcore. I don't know if you're gonna be able to tell here, but yeah, you saw the spay blade move. I don't know if that's obvious or not. Yeah, spay blade moves. So that's a lot of blade rub. So with Stockmans and stuff, blade rub's not that big of a deal. But when you get knives like this, or like the moose that I have that have a back spring for each blade, if the blades rub against each other, that is a problem. Now this doesn't have that issue. The blades are not perfectly centered. I don't necessarily see that as a problem. Some people do. Um, but just in general, I really wish Case would spend a little bit more time on their quality control just to make sure that the knives that they're putting out don't have major defects, which is something they don't appear to be doing these days. But I wish they would start doing that because Case is an American company. In fact, they're based in Bradford, Pennsylvania. And of course, I am a native Pennsylvanian, and you know, I really like the companies that are making products in Pennsylvania to be making good products. Great Eastern Cutlery is amazing. They're in Titusville, Pennsylvania, obviously. You guys probably all know that, but you know, I like to support American companies when I can or when it makes sense to do so. Unfortunately, Great Eastern Cutlery's got really difficult to get the knives, so a lot of times I'll buy Boker knives, which are made in Germany, or you know, knives that are made in China. Um, just because Case isn't putting out a product that's worth the amount of money that they charge for it, like most of the time. Now, occasionally you get a gem, and it should be the other way around. Case is a manufacturer that makes a lot of knives, and they're owned by Zippo. So you know it's a fairly large company. It's not like Great Eastern Cutlery where they can really pay a lot of attention to each knife. You know, they put out thousands of knives at Case. So if you occasionally got one that had a defect, it wouldn't be that big of an issue. But it's gotten to the point where when you don't get one without a defect, that's the like shocking thing. So I wish Case would spend a little bit more time on their quality control. But overall, this knife's actually pretty good. If you're gonna buy a Case knife, I've never gotten a bad or a really bad Case knife from collectorknives.net. I think Mike might look them over before he sells them to people. So if you're looking for a Case knife and you want a decent one, you might want to go over to collectorknives.net, because I've never gotten a bad one from him. So, like I said, I think he might do some sort of inspection on them before he sells them to people. But anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. This was supposed to be about this knife, and instead of being about this knife, it's become about Cases, quality control, and everything. But yeah, I'm going to stop rambling. Hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you in the next video.